Assalamualaikum and hi. We will present to you our digital forensic investigation results, a mini project under course TFB2143 Computer Forensics. My name is Imanina Hani binti Irwan. My groupmates are Adam Iskandar, Muhammad Akil Arman, and Muhammad Atif Rizki. Next, Adam will break down about the incident overview.
Now is the incident overview, which we focus on an incident involving a suspected unauthorized access to the confidential HR document at Machodoku. So the incident was flagged after sensitive employee records were accused access outside of normal working hours. So based on initial reports, the suspect was believed to have carried out the series of deliberate actions such as opening of confidential HR files, copying those files to another location, uploading them to cloud storage, editing local copies, and clearing their browser history to cover their threats. So to address this, our team has followed the straight forensic standard operation procedures, which is our SOP, to ensure complete evidence integrity throughout the investigation. Moving on to our investigation objectives and our scope, which is formally determine if unauthorized access occurred and identify the exact user activities involved. Second one is to recover deleted evidence and examine browser and use USB activity. Third is reconstruct the full sequence of the events while verifying evidence integrity using hash functions. As for the scope, our examination focus on one target Windows workstation. To analyze the drive, we utilize industry standard digital forensic tools, including FTK Imager, Autopsy, and Windows Search Util. Next, let's talk about the primary suspect and the evidence that we expect to find during our analysis. Our investigation focused on employee A, who had a legitimate access to the workstation. However, the suspect was believed to have accessed sensitive HR files beyond their authorized permission. To prove or disprove this, we targeted specific forensic artifacts including user and file activity, which is the Windows login logs, recent documents, Office most recently used entries. Next one is our execution and network artifacts, which is the browser history and cookies, and also the cloud storage connection evidence. Next one is the storage artifacts, which was the deleted files, file slash space, and USB registry entries. Now the last one is the integrity hash verification records to ensure no evidence was tampered with. Looking at the visual workflow at the bottom, when the suspect opened an hash file, artifacts were automatically generated in the recent documents and the office temporary files. We were then able to locate and analyze these entries using the autopsy software to trace the unauthorized activity.
I'll explain the forensic acquisition process, that how we preserve the digital evidence integrity. For this investigation, we use FTK Imager to create a forensic image from the suspect's storage device that the evidence was assigned as case 1. The evidence ID E001 and the source device was identified as a USB flash drive with a size of approximately 26.6 gigabytes. The forensic image was created using the expert witness format or E01 format, and it was divided into 3 segments: E001 for workstation, E01, E002, and E03. So after the revision process, verification was performed to ensure that the evidence was not modified. The verification process started at 5:48:26 a.m. and complete at 5:49:39 a.m. The hash verification results show that the MDS and CH1 value matched successfully, confirm that the forensic image remained identical to the original evidence. Additionally, CHA256 hash was generated for each image segment using Windows Search Util to provide another layer of integrity verification during the investigation.
For this part, I will explain the chain of custody and hash verification. First, the original source was acquired using FTK Imager, and all forensic analysis was performed on the forensic copy instead of the original device. This is important to prevent any accidental change to the original evidence. During verification, the MD5 and SHA1 hash values match. In addition, SHA256 hash were successfully generated for all 3 image segments, which is E01, E02, and E03. The verification process also showed that no bad blocks were detected. This means the forensic image was acquired successfully and the evidence remained preserved throughout the acquisition and analysis process. Okay, as shown in the screenshot, the SHA-256 hash for the image segment was generated using Windows curl util, and the command was completed successfully. Therefore, the matching hash values confirm that the forensic evidence was not altered and can be considered reliable for further investigation.
Moving on to the file access deleted evidence findings. So during the forensic analysis using autopsy, we identify 3 confidential HR documents involved in the incidents. First, HR employee records. Second, salary adjustment. And third, performance evaluation. The analysis showed that these files appear as regular files within the forensic image. However, multiple copies of this document were also discovered, including entries marked as deleted files. Beside deleted file records, files like evidence was also detected. Files like refer to residual data that remains in unused storage space after a file is deleted or modified. This finding indicate that the confidential document were accessed copy and that some copies may have been deleted afterward in an attempt to remove trace of the activity. However, the investigation focused on only the digital evidence found on the evidence, so we can confirm the exact intention of the user without additional evidence. The next finding is related to cloud storage activity. During the investigation, a cloud drive folder named HR Backup was identified. This folder contained the same 3 confidential HR documents: HR employee record, performance evaluation, and salary adjustment. This presence of identical documents locally and inside the cloud storage suggests that the files were likely copied or uploaded to a Google Drive. However, there are some limitations with the evidence. The screenshot itself does not provide information about the exact upload time, the account used for uploading, or the person who performed the upload. Therefore, we can conclude that the cloud storage involved occur, but identify the exact user responsible will require additional evidence such as browser history, account information, or system login records.
Next is the timeline reconstruction. The timeline was created using file system timestamp, Microsoft Office temporary file, deleted file record, file select evidence, the FTK image report, and the Google Drive screenshot. The first relevant activity occurred at approximately 4:57 AM when performance evaluation do CS show a modification timestamp. At approximately 5 AM, SR employee record show a modification timestamp followed by salary adjustment 2026 at around 5:01 AM. Between approximately 5:12 AM and 5:13 AM, all 3 confidential HR documents appear in the forensic result. At around 5:19 AM, a temporary Microsoft Excel file associated with HR employee record was detected. Temporary files beginning with the symbol type and $sign usually indicate that the document was opened in Microsoft Excel. At approximately 5:21 AM, the temporary file show further activity. At around 5:23 AM, another temporary Excel file associated with salary adjustment which was detected. At the same time, additional copies and deleted record of the confidential documents appear in the forensic result. The Google Drive screenshot also showed that 3 confidential files were present in folder named HR Backup. This support the involvement of cloud storage. However, the screenshot does not show that the exact upload time, but the user account involved all who performed the upload. The forensic acquisition then began at 5:32 AM, was completed at 5:48 AM, and verification were complete successfully at 5:49 AM. Overall, the timeline showed that the documents were opened, handled, copied to cloud storage, and some local copies were later deleted.
To prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future, the organization should implement principle of least privilege to limit employee access to files and resources that are only necessary for their job responsibilities. Confidential files should be protected using role-based access control or RBAC, and access permissions should be reviewed regularly. Second, implementation of endpoint detection and response (EDR) solutions to continuously monitor workstations for suspicious activities such as unauthorized access to confidential files, abnormal file copying, or unusual user behavior. EDR enables security teams to detect threats in real time and can automatically isolate compromised devices or terminate malicious processes to prevent further damage. Integrating EDR with a Security Information and Event Management (SIEM) or Extended Detection and Response (XDR) platform provides easy monitoring and faster incident response across the organization. Third, the organization should conduct periodic reviews of user accounts, access permissions, and audit logs to ensure that employees only have access to information required for their job responsibilities. Regular audits should be performed in accordance with the organization's information security policies and recognized standards, namely ISO or IEC 27001, to ensure that access control measures remain effective and up to date.
Based on the finding, the investigation identified 3 confidential HR documents, which is HR Employee Record, Salary Adjustment 2026, and Performance Evaluation. Microsoft Office temporary file artifact show that the 2 Excel spreadsheets were open. The forensic result contain regular files, deleted file, entries, and file select version of the document. The same 3 documents were found in Google Drive folder named HR Backup. This support the conclusion that copies of the file existed in cloud storage. Deleted file indicators and also file select evidence, and also suggest that some local copies were deleted after they had been accessed or copied. The main file activity occurred on 28 July 2026, mainly between approximately 5:12 a.m. and 5:23 a.m. Employee A was identified as the suspected user in the investigation plan. However, the available screenshots do not provide enough login or account evidence to conclusively prove that employee was physically operating the device. Therefore, the safest conclusion is that confidential HR documents were accessed, copied to cloud storage, and some local records were later deleted. The activity is consistent with the suspected action of employee A, but stronger evidence such as Windows login logs, user profile record, browser account information, or CCTV will be required for conclusive attribution. Finally, the matching hash value and successful image verification confirm that the digital evidence used in this investigation remain authentic and unchanged.